Break it up. Let's do some landscaping around it.
The estate itself is very large. The property is on 80 acres, and there were hardly any patios when we got the house, especially to enjoy this gorgeous, gorgeous view. We know for a fact that the original owners entertained so much. There were many, many beautiful parties here. It must have been just gorgeous.
It took us a lot of time and strategy to know how many patios we wanted, because honestly, this property is so huge that we could have done endless patios.
Well, that was not an option, because it's not only about where and how many patios, but that they connect somehow and they don't interfere with the wildlife, because, as we say, we are the guests here on this property.
We knew we wanted a fire pit because emotional design is very important in our work.
After spending a lot of time here in the property, we realized where we hang out most, and that is this area, which is the west side of the property, facing the gorgeous mountains and enjoying the view. And here, this is the south side of the property, and the dogs just go crazy in this spot.
Originally, there was no patio here. We could have made that one larger, but we decided to create this one further from the house. By constructing a patio here and separated from the main house, makes it feel closer to the mountains and isolated from the house. This patio floats. You can disconnect mentally, which is powerful and healthy.
Since we like the straight lines of the existing patios, we decided to mimic that formality here.
Fire pits date back to cavemen. They were crude then.
Fire pits are a multi-sensory experience. It's proven that they calm us and make us feel good. If you want to get to know someone, sit around a fire, because it ignites conversation.
So let's get technical. The fire pit itself is about 3 feet in diameter. The whole thing is about 54 inches. And if you want sitting around it, space for chairs, you have to add about 18 inches away from the fire pit itself so you don't get toasty. And then 4 feet for the chairs so you don't go out into the greenery and you use the hard floor for stability of the chairs.
You also want to make sure that the fire pit is a safe distance from the house. Make sure to use sustainably sourced wood. You don't want to be destroying any natural habitats. You know, if I close my eyes when I'm near a fire, I think of camp right away, because when I was a kid, they taught us how to make a fire in the woods, and it was really cool. We added square footage here because eventually we're going to add some chaise lounges or a little table and chairs. So think of that when you're designing your space.
Deborah, we should do an outdoor kitchen right over here. It will really enhance the space.
I don't eat meat.
What about grilled vegetables?
Next subject.
This flooring is the original bluestone that we had, but really had to refinish it because it was in really bad shape.
It lasted nearly a century.
Why didn't we want to replace it? Because we like to recycle, recycle, recycle. Always recycle.
So we had it regrouted and cleaned up a bit, and it just looks beautiful. It still has those scars of life and love in it. Beautiful, slow design.
It was suggested to us at one point to do around the perimeter a low wall over here of stone, but we felt that it was going to be like very enclosed and we didn't want to lose any of the view, and we wanted the patio to be very open.
Choosing materials for your patio is a super big decision because there's so many endless options. First thing we always like to think about is, does the client understand the maintenance? Because there's maintenance on everything. There is no such thing as no maintenance on any material.
Then think about foot traffic. If it's a heavily used area, you want durability. Then consider the climate. If you live in a place like Hudson Valley, weather is extreme and your material must be able to meet such conditions.
Once you figure these things out, now it's time to decide on the material. And there are so many options. Gravel and stone, affordable, natural looking, needs weeding, low maintenance. But it's not even, so it can be difficult to balance furniture on. It can be dangerous for elderly people, and it hurts your feet when barefoot.
Concrete is also durable and very inexpensive.
Bricks and bluestone like we have here are great. They're more expensive, but they're super elegant. They're sophisticated, and there's lots of creative things that you can do with them. Different patterns, sizes, shapes, colors.
There's another beautiful product, which is wood, which I love, but it's very expensive and hard to maintain. We have another patio in the south side of the house, which is also in bluestone, and let's go over there and see it. This patio was much smaller. We made it a little bit larger, but we kept the same material because we love to recycle.
And we also kept it the same shape.
I can picture a bistro table here with chairs.
Me too, and I love the hanging chair. Luca actually loves it. We chose white planters because we wanted there to be contrast against the heavy stone, right, Santi?
Yes,
so
beautiful.
It kind of lightened up the house a little bit.
Bev, in the landscaping project, we should do shrubbery around it to break it up a little. You know, we'll also create a very beautiful focal point from inside towards the beautiful area here where the dogs play.
Right, so it's like layers, very scenic. Santi, I know you wanted more of an organic shape for these patios, but I really do like the formality and how rigid they are.
Deborah, I don't necessarily agree. I like the odd shapes and the roundness, and it doesn't have to go with the architecture. You can do whatever type of landscape and patio. It could be even Japanese or French design or anything you wish in your garden. It doesn't have to mimic the architecture.
Don't know. We did use organic shapes. Look, the curved path, the irregular stepping stones.
Well, that makes me happy.
I listen. Pebbles were a consideration for about a second for the paths, but they're not durable and they get everywhere. And with the dogs and the mud and the snow and the rain, it was just, forget it.
Oh, stepping stones was a great choice. Another thing to keep in mind is the size of your patio. If you entertain a lot, big parties, big patio. Smaller patios if you have only your dogs and small parties. But it also depends on the size of your property.
And also, I always say, if you build it, it will come. You want a partner? You want more chickens? You want more goats? You want more dogs? Build a patio big enough.
A well-designed pathway encourages mindfulness, which is essential for reducing anxiety and promoting overall mental clarity.
We had to be very aware of the outdoor lighting that we chose for the estate because we wanted to make sure that we protected all the wildlife here, and lighting can be very, very disturbing to them.
So what type of lighting did we choose?
We only are using dark sky lighting. It was also suggested that we light up certain trees because it does look beautiful. However, that's not even a consideration for us because that is so disturbing to birds that are nesting and other animals that are up in the trees to have this glaring light on them.
There are still many layers to add to these patios. We need to put more furniture, plants, planters, herbs of all flowers, so we can create like different stages and different scenery.